First of all, I hope this finds you well and your loved ones too. We are living in unprecedented times with so many restrictions on daily life, which is leaving us living in isolation. But it's been good to see how many resources have been adopted or created in order for us to keep in touch. Both churches now have Skype accounts and keeping in touch pages on the website. Please, if you can, check the websites on a regular basis, join the Skype accounts, and make sure you receive the weekly Pews news, which will continue to be emailed. Obviously, these are all technology dependent, so to add to this, a hard copy of morning and evening prayer will be sent out next week. Each morning at 8:30 and in the evening at 6 p.m, I'll be using common worship, prayer during the day, and evening prayer, so you can join me at those times. So if you do so, you know you're not praying alone. Links for these are on the websites. I wonder yet if you've had a chance to read Pew's News. I mentioned a beautiful little book called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. The boy is asked what he wants to be when he grows up. Kind, he replies. Now this guy Charlie was an atheist, and he says that Jesus led him on a journey in which he not only began to notice people, but also found them beautiful. Noticed and seen as beautiful. Isn't this something that maybe deep down we long for? And maybe the need has never been so great as it is now. But got news for you. We are known by God. Psalm 139 says, "You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know me when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know completely. You hem me in from behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain." Individually, we may be spending this time of isolation in many different ways, but it's important to note that this is a set time and it will pass. We will get through this time. Dave and I were talking earlier this week, so there's some advantages of not being out and about the time as kids when we were really frightened of the nuclear bomb landing, and obviously we were not able to do anything about it. The writings of C.S. Lewis would, I believe, have helped me to put this into some context. That's if I'd have known about them. In 1948, he wrote, "In one way, we think a great deal too much of the atomic bomb. How are we to live in an atomic age?" I'm tempted to reply, why, as you would always have lived in the 16th century when the plague visited London almost every year, or as you would have lived in the Viking Age when rages from the Scandinavia might land and cut your throat at any night, or indeed as you are already living in an age of cancer, an age of syphilis, an age of paralysis, an age of air raids, an age of railway accidents, an age of motor accidents. He then comments that at least we have one advantage over our ancestors, anaesthetics. He goes on to say, this is the first point to be made, and the first action to be taken is to pull ourselves together. If we are all going to be destroyed by an atomic bomb, let that bomb, when it comes, find us doing something sensible and human things. Praying, working, teaching, reading, listening to music, bathing the children, playing tennis, chatting to our friends over a pint and a game of darts. Not huddled together like frightened sheep and thinking about bombs. They may break our bodies, a microbe can do that, but they need not dominate our minds. We are living through a very frightening time where worry can cripple us into inaction. And yet what I've just said can be put to today's crisis. Let us live by doing sensible and human things, but with social distancing firmly in place, to slow this virus down, to save lives, to protect the NHS, to work from home, teaching and learning to take place remotely, reading, listening to music, bathing the children, exercising at home, chatting to our friends over the phone or through video conference, not huddled together like frightened sheep and thinking about viruses. They may break our bodies, a microbe can do that, but they need not dominate our minds. There is the potential for there to be so much noise in our minds during this time of isolation. So I'd like to point this out. P. Gregg said on Thursday's Lectio 365 that with flights cancelled, offices closed, restaurants and gyms shut, not too bothered about the last one, that we have an unprecedented opportunity for intimacy with Jesus, referring to Mark 6:30-32. The apostles gathered round Jesus and reported to him all they had done and taught. Then, because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, he said to them, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." So they went away by themselves in a boat to a solitary place. He called his disciples to him to a quiet place to get some rest. Finding solitude in a quiet space with Jesus may be difficult, even at this time, with all this noise. I'd like to say, especially maybe for those who are working at home for the first time, a totally new set of pressures has arrived. So what can we do? We can acknowledge that it is noisy, and within the routine of our day, plan some time. Maybe set aside some time to be still, to focus on God, to focus on His Word. Use one of the many resources. After all, there is research to say it takes 21 days to form a new habit. How wonderful would it be to come out at the other end of this, and we will, with a new daily habit of setting time aside to be with Jesus in that quiet place, seeking His peace. So thank you for listening. Stay well, keep safe. God bless.